21 minutes past 6. Governments across the world have been told that dramatic action is needed now to tackle global warming. It follows a major report by climate scientists, which was published in South Korea overnight.
Let's take a look now at what this means for all of us with a special report for breakfast by environmental scientist Angela Terry.
Climate change is the biggest challenge we face. It has the potential to change our entire way of life. In fact, I would say as a scientist, it already is. The planet has warmed by 1 degree Celsius already, and most of that warming has happened in the last few decades. And it's going to get hotter and hotter. 1 degree Celsius may not sound like much, but it's already having an impact. We're seeing more extreme weather, both here in the UK and around the world. If this is the impact of just 1 degree warming, imagine the impact of 2 or 3 degrees. For decades, researchers argued the global temperature rise must be kept below 2 degrees Celsius to avoid the worst impacts of global warming. But scientists now say that keeping below 1.5 degrees is a far safer limit for the world. Research says 10 million fewer people would lose their homes to rising seas. There would be a 50% drop in people suffering from water shortage, and the risk of populations facing at least one severe heat wave every 5 years would be halved. So can it be achieved? Absolutely, but only if we drastically reduce our emissions. The good news is the technologies already exist and they're economically viable. Electric cars, wind farms and solar power. Using less energy and insulating our buildings will all reduce our carbon emissions. And planting more trees and restoring the natural environment will help absorb carbon out of the atmosphere and return the balance of nature. However, to stay within 1.5 degrees Celsius, we need to make these changes as fast as humanly possible. We humans get to decide the future of our planet. The next few months and years will be critical. We get to decide between a flourishing future or a climate catastrophe.
Well, Angela is here, and thank you very much indeed for doing that. So this is a really far-reaching report done by many, many nations, and it sounds to me, I mean, you talked about it there, that this is becoming almost an emergency situation. Is that how you would describe it?
Absolutely. So we're at a crossroads where we have known for probably 30 years that climate change is happening. We've known the cause is burning fossil fuels, yet globally our emissions keep going up. So we need to reach zero carbon emissions as soon as humanly possible. But the good news is, which I said in the report, is that the technologies are there to do that. So that is the crucial part of the story.
I think it's worth, we've been speaking about this morning, sort of reiterating what sort of we can do. What is people watching this morning, what changes do we need to make? Because it's not just about governments, is it? It's about individuals as well.
That's right. So the winter's coming now. So one of the best things you can do is insulate your home. So loft insulation, wall insulation, and that means you're not paying as much for your energy bills as well. The other thing is the electric car. So the electric cars are about 3 or 4p a mile, whereas a petrol or diesel car is about 12p a mile. So they're cheaper to run, but they produce no tailpipe emissions. And so they're better for the environment and they're better for people.
You mentioned the electric cars, but they have not been adopted wholesale yet, and many people talk about the problems with them. You can't get far enough with them. The infrastructure's not there.
So there is, whenever a new technology comes on, there's always concerns about them and adopting them. But last month it was 1 in 12 cars sold were alternative fuel vehicles. So the public, once you have one, you're quite evangelical about them. You want that they're very good, basically. So the people who have them, if you've any concerns, talk to someone who has them, and they tend to wax lyrical about them. They're very popular.
OK, lots of people will be getting in touch this morning, and I know you're back with us a little bit later, but thank you very much indeed, and for doing that report as well. And we'll be talking about it throughout the programme. We're talking about what you can do as individuals, also the pressure on governments and what they need to do as well.
Yeah, do share any ideas you have with us as well this morning, and we'll discuss this, as Louise says, throughout the programme for you. Now, still to come.